All right, so welcome to week 16 in SQL. Really, this is the end for the videos from me for this semester because I just reviewed week 17 and I'm going to release it as is. And it was two videos, one going over the problem set, which I'm going to touch on today because your last problem set, uh, when you're covering the writing part two that we're going to talk about next, it really is important that you pay attention to these triggers and you're going to learn about how a certain condition, then a trigger will happen. And it's a way important concept in SQL. But before we jump in there, so I'm just telling you the video you're about to see here in week 16 that I'm going to release, I'm also going to release week 17. And I do that to give those who want to work ahead a little bit. And there are definitely those who do in this case, and a group of you that do a great job of working ahead. I just want to give you that opportunity because I know the end of the semester can be a little bit nutty. Okay. So here in, let's just go ahead and open week 16 attendance so we can just remind ourselves. So here's the other thing, like now is the time, if for some reason you're not on the technical interview schedule, definitely you want to get on there. I talked about this whole end of the semester dates as far as week 15, but I'm also going to include a copy of them in week 17 and I'll just briefly touch on them today. But now is the time, right? So we're like I'm actually coming into week 15, so I'm even doing this a little earlier and I have seen actually majority of students in this class, which I every time I do technical interviews I realize why they're important. So I just want to tell you, I know they're not, they can be intimidating, but I can just hopefully have you feel a benefit to doing them because they are a part of being in tech is having somebody interview you to see how well you understand the concepts. Okay, so before we start talking about the part two of the writing, I want to, in this attendance, is actually just have you give some feedback. So these weekly reviews that you've been doing with the AI, and in this case, it's a product called AI Canvas Chat. You don't need to know that, but that's a product, and you may have heard me talk about this before, that's been developed by myself, Rick Gomez, and Brianna, who actually is a tutor in this class. So it's a very small development team for this product. And what I would like you to give us this for this one, because last week you gave me the feedback for the course, and I'm actually just starting to read those now because of when it is in the RL. And they're very much appreciated. I used those to generate the thing that you saw, if you remember back in week 0, where it was like advice, it's like here's advice from the previous students and you are the really the one of the best advocates because your voice weighs so heavy with other students. Like teachers can say and professors can say all day and night, please do XYZ. But for whatever reason, and I get it actually from a peer to peer, is sometimes your peers have more influence on that. And so you have a chance to affect future students by that. So, as well with this weekly review, now we don't use these as part of the next semester, but what we use this feedback for is to inform us about what things we need to make sure we fix. Like one of the things, and I don't think Jennifer would mind me saying this, Jennifer had a conversation with me about, hey, Rio, sometimes the AI Canvas chats don't give me the complete context of the question, and I have to take it multiple times in order to see it. And my reply back to her was, you know what? We've tested that. We know that in a side by side, sometimes the AI will give different answers. But but not just taking her feedback, I actually took our prompt because we write these prompts for each of these steps. And I had AI review it and say, is there something we could do to make this better? So my hope is, and this week you, Jen, and anybody else may have a better experience. But here's what I'd like you to do in the reply this week. Okay. I want you to do a heading 2. So now what does that mean, right? So a heading 2 is here. What worked well, and then do your writing. Okay. And then what could we improve, right? And this is where, not heading 3, heading 2. Okay. So, what worked well and what needs to be improved. Now, you can use any heading here you want, but I'm just telling you to organize the content. It just helps, like, because you want to read somebody else's and do a response. So, in this case, what worked well? Was there something you felt? Do you feel these weekly reviews? And we do these based, and actually, they should be called weekly reviews because it's really the code along reviews that we're doing here, have they helped you in any way? And if so, how have they helped you? Okay. So that is great information. And then, of course, as valuable to us is what do we need to improve? What do we need to consider to improve here? There are definitely things we would like to institute into here. Part of it is just time and money because this was funded by a grant that now has run out. So we're trying to figure out other ways to fund it. Okay, so that's your attendance, all right? So now I'm going to look at, so please, give us good feedback. Don't just give me a sentence. I'm going to look for a substantial reply, at least a good paragraph for both. So now on your writing part 2, on the instructions, I want to give you kind of where you want to focus on, right? So we're starting in this case in the second part, okay? There is a little command that you want to run, especially when we're doing on delete behaviors. You may not run into this. This also has to do with how the code spaces are set up, because sometimes GitHub will actually change those and include stuff that haven't been done. Okay, so as I'm rolling through this, right, and here are all the things you're going to get, and then you have your break option. So after the break option, if you take it, when you get into the triggers, this is the part, this is true for all of it. Definitely take the content concepts and the SQL here, and just know that actually this trigger concept is what the problem set, this is how it's going to be covered, or this is what you're going to implement for the problem set. So keep that in mind. And then, so I'm just pointing that out as a way to help you kind of navigate that to the best of your ability to really hone in there. That way, when you get to the don't panic down here, you'll be good to go. Okay, so then your review, of course, here. And then again, I said, I'm not going to have a current video from this, but, if we go in and look at week 17, right? So I'm going to have a video covering the don't panic, and then I'll talk about attendance here, right? And then this actually specifically focuses on the problem set. So now that you know a little bit about it, ask any questions, right? And and you've already seen this, there's no weekly review. So what I did is I went back to week 15 and I copied the end of semester dates, just so you're clear about this, right? So the last date to schedule, right? So this is a Friday. Now, again, I definitely recommend rolling back to week 15 to look at these, because I talk about these in more detail. And then the last date to submit, this is where you go to the calendar and you actually look at this. And then the private repos will be deleted. And this is when I talk about it. And if you didn't already do so, because I actually asked for this before, please delete your public one. Just make sure you're sure which one you're in. Okay, so this is all from week 15 reminders. So I'd like to end with, right? So and I think I said this in here too, but I think it's really good because, without you, I don't have a job. And I appreciate the job that I have, and I really try to honor it to the best of my ability to give you, my goal is really to give you a skill-based and to walk away from this class with a skill that is marketable. It is something that is needed in the market, and SQL is definitely that. If you're in the web developer program, and even if you're not, we offer programming classes. There's actually a higher end programming class coming up this summer. Even if you don't have any programming, but you want to challenge yourself, there's that. But of course, if you're in the data analytics, there's a whole series of classes you take on that side as well. So wherever you lie, wherever your interest is, I hope you feel the time you spent here was of value to you. I know it was to me, because every time I teach, I actually learn something new, either about how to deliver content, right? Or something new about the topic itself. And it's not just once, it's almost weekly that this is true. And I hope you have gained a love of learning because this is a lifelong process. So, anyway, that's my last attendance for this semester video. I hope you have a great one. Have a great summer. If you ever have any questions, feel free to reach out. I always enjoy talking to students, and it's a really amazing to me how many wonderful students come back to talk to me. But even whoever, because all students are actually a gift to us. All right, have a great one, and I'll talk to you later.